Now changing over your power supply. First things first, unplug all these cables. Depending on your layout, your motherboard, and what you have in your case, depends on what you'll remove. But most commonly you'll have one of these big cables attached into there, and usually one up here as well. So you want to remove pretty much everything that comes out of this power supply here and just sort of hang it over the side. Once you have that, I tend to put my cases on the side. Some people put them upright. Around the back here you'll see 4 screws. Basically you want to remove just those 4 until it just sort of shifts out entirely. Some cases, you might have more or less screws depending on the setup and depending on the power supply. So we'll just remove that right now. So now that I've removed these 4 screws, I can just easily, basically, I'll just hold on to the cable, slide it out a bit. There we go. So this is Thermaltake sort of basic power supply that comes with cases. It's useful for testing, but not really good for long-term use. And I've got another one over here, a Corsair. Oh jeez, it's the other spare one I've got lying around. It's got a ridiculous amount of cables, and that one's got a bit of damage. But we're going to install that basically into the case. So ideally put fans upwards. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you've got an intake vent at the bottom of your case, you can flip it around. It's, up to you really. I mean, it shouldn't really take an effect. The only major part is which end these cables come out of. So if, say on this motherboard, you've got all that, you don't want to destroy any of them or whatever, you can just put them in whichever way you want. So once it slides right into the back, you'll see basically these previous ports line up to new screw holes in this power supply. So I'm going to attach those right now. Alrighty, now that that's all screwed in straight, we've basically got the power supply in. With the vent, it will basically, if it starts to overheat, it will draw in air from the case. You can attach to the bottom to draw in, but with these particular Corsair ones, the fan will only spin when it overheats. So, yeah, a lot of the time it'll just be sitting stationary, and I mean, if you've got plenty of cooling in your case, it should be fine there, but that's pretty straightforward. Just some advice with power supplies. I mean, second-hand ones, you hit and miss with that one. Usually go for a decent brand, like one that you recognize, like Corsair do some good ones, Silverstone, various other ones. But yeah, as long as you recognize the brand, and then obviously the rating, you want to get a decent one. This is very much overkill for this board, and especially this card that's in this. This is just a spare one that I had lying around and test stuff. But yeah, I mean, as long as good brand, good power, and, in good working order, then you should be right.